I was the first cat in space. I survived the launch. I survived the landing. Then they killed me anyway. And for 56 years, most humans forgot I existed. Stay with me, because near the end, I'm going to tell you what the scientists admitted after they opened my brain. It changes the whole story. My name was Félicette, but that came later. First, I was C341, a number. Numbers are easier. You can test a number, cut into a number, launch a number into space. And when the number comes back alive, you can still kill it. This actually happened. In the early 1960s, the world was racing to leave Earth. The Americans had monkeys and chimpanzees. The Soviets had dogs. France wanted its own place in the space race. So they asked a question. What happens to the brain's balance system in weightlessness? And if you want to study balance, you look at cats. We twist in the air, we land on our feet, we read gravity faster than humans can think. It is not magic, it is biology, the inner ear, the brain, the body, all of it working together in a split second. That is why they chose us. Not because we wanted to go, because we were useful. Before me, France sent rats. One of them was named Hector. He launched from the Algerian Sahara in 1961 with electrodes in his skull. France became the third country to send a living animal into space, but rats were small. The data was limited. They wanted something larger, something calmer, something with a nervous system they could read more clearly. So in 1963, someone from CERMA, the French Military Aerospace Medicine Center, went to Paris. Not to a shelter, to a dealer. They bought 14 cats, all female. All nameless. That part was not an accident. The scientists did not name us because names create attachment. Attachment makes killing harder. So we were not Mimi, not Luna, not anyone's baby. We were test subjects. C341, C342, C343, a row of cats turned into numbers. Then came the surgery. 9 permanent electrodes were implanted into our skulls. They were not just watching my heart. They wanted my brain. They wanted to see what happened inside my head when gravity disappeared. More electrodes were attached to my legs for heart monitoring and electrical stimulation. Not passive, active. They planned to send impulses through my body during flight and watch how I responded. I was not a passenger. I was an experiment with whiskers. Then came training. 2 months of it. Centrifuges. A 3-axis chair spinning in directions no cat should ever be spun. Rocket noise blasting from speakers. Confinement inside a small capsule. Longer, darker, tighter, again and again. 14 cats, 1 seat. Humans like to say I was chosen because I was calm. That is true. But calm is not consent. I did not volunteer. I did not understand the mission. I did not look up at the stars and dream of space. I was a small black and white stray from Paris, who learned not to panic while humans built a rocket around me. On October 17th, 1963, they chose 6 finalists. I weighed about 2.5 kilograms. Small, quiet, still, the calmest of the group. So they picked me. A backup was chosen too in case I failed. That is the thing about being a test animal. Even survival is just one possible result. The next morning, October 18th, 1963, at 8:09 a.m., they sealed me into the nose cone of a Véronique AGI rocket at Hamagouir, Algeria, the Sahara Desert, hot sand, military equipment, a rocket pointed at the sky, and me inside it. No choice. No way to know I was about to go higher than any cat had ever gone. 2 microphones monitored my breathing. Electrodes tracked my heart. 9 electrodes tracked my brain. Then the rocket engine ignited. 42 seconds of burn, 42 seconds of noise and force. Acceleration pressed me flat, 9.5 G. For context, Apollo astronauts felt around 4 G during launch. I felt more than twice that. A 5-pound cat locked inside a metal capsule rising above the Sahara. And the data showed I stayed calm. That sentence has followed me for decades. She stayed calm, as if that makes it better. As if the perfect victim is the one who does not scream. The nose cone separated at about 152 kilometers above Earth. The boundary of space is 100 kilometers. I crossed it. For about 5 minutes, I was weightless. Everything cats are made for stopped making sense. No up, no down, no floor, no landing, no gravity to read. The balance system that made me valuable suddenly had nothing to hold on to. And my body adapted. My heart rate slowed. My breathing steadied. The machines recorded everything: my brain, my heart, my silence. Then came re-entry, spinning, vibration, 7G before the parachutes deployed. Then 9G when the chutes opened. The capsule dropped back toward Earth and landed upside down in the Sahara. 13 minutes after launch, a helicopter reached me. They opened the nose cone. I was alive. That should have been the ending. The stray cat returns from space. The first cat to cross the edge of Earth comes home breathing. But that is not the story humans wrote for me. The mission was called a success. The press heard about the flight and gave me a name, Felix, like the cartoon cat. They assumed I was Mel. Of course they did. Surma corrected it. Félicette, a real name, a feminine name, a name that arrived after the rocket, after the data, after I had already done what they needed me to do. For 2 months, I lived in the laboratory. They observed me, studied me, measured the after effects, and then they euthanized me to remove the electrodes, to examine my brain, to complete the experiment. That is the polite version. Here is the real one. They sent me into space, I came back alive, and they killed me for more data. Now remember what I told you at the beginning? That the scientists admitted something later? Here it is. They learned nothing useful from the autopsy. Nothing useful. They implanted electrodes into my skull, trained me for months, launched me past the edge of space, recovered me alive, killed me, opened my brain, and got nothing from it. That is the part that turns science into something colder. Because my death was not the cost of a breakthrough. It was just the end of a procedure. And then the world moved on. Ham, the American chimpanzee, was remembered. Laika, the Soviet dog, became a symbol. Me, I became a footnote. Worse than that, I became the wrong footnote. Postage stamps were issued decades later in my honor. Comoros, Chad, Niger. And many of them called me Felix. Wrong name, wrong sex, wrong cat. Imagine surviving space and still being misnamed by history. For decades, France did not build a national memorial to me. People looked at photos of my electrodes and felt uncomfortable. So they looked away. That is one of the easiest things humans do. They call something progress, then avoid the face of who paid for it. But the story did not stay buried forever. Decades later, strangers finally did what institutions had not. They raised money for a bronze statue of me, perched on top of the earth, looking upward. It was unveiled in 2019, 56 years after my flight. It did not fix what happened. But it said one thing history had forgotten to say. I was here. I was not just C341. I was not just a payload. I was not just a data point with fur. I was Félicette, the first cat in space. The only cat to reach space and return alive, and I waited 56 years for humans to remember my name. And I was not the only cat they used. Others trained beside me, some never had names. 6 days after my flight, France sent another cat. That mission went wrong. She never came home? So yes, I was the first cat in space. But I was also a stray, a test subject, a survivor, a name corrected after the fact, a statue built by strangers, a story humans forgot, because remembering it made them uncomfortable. This actually happened. Subscribe. Because next time, the cats are leaving space and going back to war.